always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Reb Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Ray and Greg's Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back in the Tim Hortons app with a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's always a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson season-end grand prize. Canadians, you can also try to keep a 7-day streak alive and win free coffee or tea for a week. Check it out, timhortons.ca, for a full list of prizes. Good morning, Raymond. How are you today?
I'm good. I am back home for a day and a half and then back out. But we talked about the post-Olympic thing, how, it's for everybody involved in the game, right?
Yep.
The teams, the players, the fans, us. It's just like, trying to put 4 pounds, in a 3-pound barrel right now. So we're going at it pretty good. How about you? What do you got going?
Yeah, I mean, just, constantly I'll be looking at my phone, as you can appreciate. That's what trade deadline week is all about. But, has the hockey been better? Exactly what you thought? Less? I mean, based on what you're seeing post-Olympics. Now, I guess I felt like there might be a bit more energy, a little bit more zip, a little bit more desperation among certain teams trying to claw into the playoff picture. And maybe that was a poor assumption given how tight it's been league-wide, really, from game 1 of the regular season.
I think the hockey's been lousy. I think it's been uninspired. I think it's been very, very timid. It's almost like, I think, Dregs, if we go back year over year over year, it's the same thing every year, week into the trade deadline. Everybody's waiting for something to happen. What the players can't realize, because they're right in the midst of it, if you play like this, nobody wants you. No, nobody wants you. So I played on really bad teams at certain points in my career, and somebody would always say, hey, guys, the way we're playing, nobody wants us. Like, nobody's going, hey, you know what I want? I need a centerman that hasn't scored in 3 weeks, or I need a winger that won't finish a check, because everybody's waiting around. It's so the best thing that I've seen since I've come back, aside from Jack Hughes last night on the Tonight Show, was fantastic. When they were talking
Saturday
about his
Live
tooth.
was terrific on Saturday too.
But
Jack
yes, that was good. The ladies did a great job. I think I don't know. It was really well done. I really liked it for the 4 of them. But yesterday, like, Jimmy Fallon asked him about, I think that tooth could be your thing. And Jack said, I can guarantee you this will not be my thing. Because I guess Quinn told him right before overtime, it's not bad. It's just a chip. And of course, half the tooth is gone. But what I was going to say is
through that.
Oh man, he's got to get that fixed. But the best thing I've seen was, I did a game Sunday night in Long Island, and man, Matthew Schaefer is just a bloody joy to watch.
Next
he plays,
level.
I mean, he's 18 years old. Of course, he's got energy and joy in his game, but he's so good. And he got a lucky bounce, so one puck bounced all over for his 19th, but he's got 20 goals. He played 17 games last year. And the building was alive again. And it felt like, to me, that was not the final nail, but whatever the next to the final nail is in the Panthers. They just don't have I don't think they've got enough runway.
We've got a lot of trade stuff to get to in the Canadian Brewhouse headlines, but I did want your thought as you're talking about Jack. Did you see the travel itinerary for Jack Hughes out of St. Louis?
Yeah.
So he gets on the private jet. Where did he fly to? LaGuardia? I don't know. Where did he fly to?
He wouldn't have. He would. There's a private airport. He would have probably gone.
Then he needed a helicopter,
probably.
Right?
He would have been in Teterboro. Yeah,
into Manhattan.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, hey, you're
Okay,
kind of
but
a big
Dregs,
deal.
hang
You've
on.
done a lot of stuff over your time at
Um,
high levels, both on the entertainment side of hockey and as a player. Have you ever been put on a private jet, and then a helicopter, and then quickly
yeah,
whisked into studio for a performance like
uh,
that?
not not the helicopter. Twice I've been on a private jet
Yeah,
for games. Last year I did it at ESPN. I went from Utah or from Seattle on opening night to Utah for their first ever game, and
right.
I got to tell you, that's the way to go.
Oh,
You,
is it ever?
I mean, I'm sure Jack was a little fatigued, but all you got to do is sit down. If you can find your chair and you're the only guy on the plane, you're probably going to be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
He probably had a great time. It was, but the you know Megan Keller had to fly in a private jet somewhere. I forget from where to
yeah.
where. And man, they what a week for for all of them. Really, just for all of them. It was really good to see.
Yeah, and I don't know that we'll be able to, but it did feel like we should be able to put a bow on everything, right? Let's just wrap it up. Double gold medal for USA hockey. Congratulations. Now let's just focus
Oh,
on
okay,
whatever the
Dregs,
next.
but that's not supposed to be the point. The
I
point is,
get it. Yes.
you might be tired of talking about it, or I might be saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, there's nothing left, to talk about with the gold medal games."
Yeah.
But this is supposed to improve visibility, which it has.
Yeah.
But if it
Yeah. It
improves
has.
visibility for 2 weeks, then it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's There has to be a move on plan, and that will remain to be seen.
All right. Again, so much trade speculation swirling around the league as expected. I anticipate as we're recording this episode Tuesday morning that there's probably going to be some deals prior to Friday's trade deadline on March 6th. So we'll plod through what we know now, and then we'll move on as the week progresses. In our headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Get lucky at the Canadian Brewhouse this St. Patrick's Day. March 13th to 17th. So there's a window there, not just one day. Enter to win a trip or two to Ireland and celebrate with green beer, Guinness, and Jameson. Don't miss the party at the Canadian Brewhouse. Okay, significant trade from a Canadian perspective yesterday. So I want your
Right.
thoughts on that before we plod forward here. And that's the Edmonton Oilers acquiring veteran defenseman Connor Murphy, big right shot D-man on an expiring contract. What does he bring to the Oilers? And do you like that defensive group better now with Connor Murphy on it?
He brings a defensive conscience. He plays the game as a defender first. I played with his dad. I've known Connor since he was a little boy in Atlanta when he was just first starting to play. His brother was a goalie, by the way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but Connor's fashioned a career out of defending, killing penalties. He's got good size. He'll play the body. Like he'll get into the cycle and finish the cycle. I think
Okay.
I think those are his strengths. I do like their defense better now
Hmm.
than I did two days ago. However, in the midst of this season, I think it's kind of important to point out that in order for the Oilers to end up with Tristan Jarry and Connor Murphy
Yeah.
and Spencer Stastny, they traded away Stu Skinner, Brett Kulak,
Yeah.
2 seconds, and a third. Like, are they any better, or could they have saved those assets to use something else? Even at the time, the Skinner Jari thing felt like you're just pushing a deck chair from the left to the right.
Yeah.
That it didn't feel like got better. A third rounder for Stastny. Oh, gee, maybe Stastny's not quite as ready or not quite as good as we think. Well, now we
Hmm.
got to include Kulak to get off the to make the money equal out. And so that includes a second rounder. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say the Oilers are any better off than they were before the Skinner trade. But I
Yeah.
do like Connor Murphy.
Are you look, I mean, we talked about this last week, and there are some who still think that they've got to again put hands on the goaltending in Edmonton. They've improved their blue line. But last week you openly talked about, okay, well, what about your bottom six? That seems to
Yeah.
be an area of concern. Are you looking at third line center, or are you looking at a top nine winger? Is there something specific in that bottom six you want to see?
Well, I do think they need a center there, in particular if Nugent Hopkins stays with McDavid, where he's been
Mm.
most of the year, and what they seem to like. So I think they've kind of had open roll call in that three center spot, and it feels like they need somebody that can impact the line a little bit, because they just do not get anything, next to nothing, out of that bottom six. And there I can't even give you an identity of what that group brings their team. Like, could it be a physicality? Could it be penalty killers? Can it be energy? And it
Yeah.
feels like a mishmash of six different guys most nights. And
Yep.
here's the thing. You can identify the weaknesses. You only have so many assets. No
Yeah.
other general manager is interested in the Oilers' 2032 first round pick.
Right.
Like that, right? Like, eventually it's too far out to impact any change, and they just don't have a lot of assets to move.
Yeah. There is some speculation around Nick Raw. I mean, as a third line center, is he capable of shouldering that load, whether it's Edmonton or somewhere else? Because even though there's nothing etched in stone, as again, we record here Tuesday morning, when you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're looking at everything, right? And aside from the obvious few, there are no untouchables. And the belief is that Nick Raw will get traded. So why he should be a player of interest, I would think, to Edmonton, wouldn't you?
Well, I would think so. I mean, at his best, he's certainly a big guy. He skates pretty well. There's not a lot of offense there. I think he's kind of like a 3- 4+ centerman. He can play on the wing, where he can
Yeah.
be just as effective. Um, uh, he's not going to. I guess what he does is he should add a stability to a third line.
Yeah.
If you have him in that place, because right now the churn on that third group for Edmonton is, everybody can see where the problem lies there, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's no stability. There's no, not game to game. You're not going to get it every game, but there's no impact on a regular basis. And Wash should be a person they look at. Like, there's not 10 guys to look at. Here's the thing: there's gonna be 20 teams that are 25 teams are going to be disappointed in one way or another come Friday afternoon, because they're either not going to be able to offload the guys they want, or they're not going to be able to get the guys they want. It's going to happen, and teams will say, "Oh, we were happy with our deadline." What else are they going to say? But if you're teams like Toronto and Vancouver, you're trying to move. You should be as many people, Calgary as well, as many people as you can.
Yeah.
But you've got to have somebody on the other side that's willing to make a deal. And
That's what it is.
That's where it gets sticky.
Yeah. Let's revisit the D market for just a moment. And again, I'm going to say this a lot, but it's Tuesday morning, so Tyler Myers could make a decision. He could say, all right, I've been contemplating Detroit now for several days. The option that I was hoping for, Dallas, maybe someone else, isn't going to materialize, so I'll go to Detroit. So again, that's the qualifier on this. But in a lot of ways, it feels like Myers, to a degree, is gumming things up on the defensive side, right? You know how it works. One of those guys goes, and then all of a sudden Philadelphia gets serious with the calls they're getting on Ristolainen. Ristolainen's probably higher up the pecking order, and it's a bigger deal, obviously, right? Beyond that, you look at Justin Faulk, Logan Stanley with the Winnipeg Jets. There's always annually there's speculation around Colton Parayko, which is again different given his contract status. But is it a good defensive market, or are these just names that kind of surface on not the same type of names, but every year we've got, right, a collection of names, and most of them are right shot defense because everybody needs a right shot defenseman, if you're a playoff worthy team.
I don't see it. It's not a great class. It's not a poor class. It's just the 2026 trade class. And one of the reasons is if the deals are significant, they generally are not going to happen this week. Like once you get into start moving contract with years and significant players,
Yeah.
little tricky here because you probably need to see where your team's going to end up, so you know what type of draft pick you're giving up. I those players are all different though. I'm like a team that would be interested in Justin Faulk is probably not interested in Rasmus Ristolainen.
Yeah.
Somebody that's interested in Tyler Myers is not looking for a small skilled puck mover if that becomes somebody else that's available. So here's the thing with Myers too, is he could say no to Detroit and nothing else materializes. He stays in Vancouver and then his trade protection goes to 12 and then he gets moved in the off season. And that's something he and his agents will be talking about, and his family, because it's pretty clear, come July at the latest, he's going to be somewhere else. And you can say, well, this time he could determine, what if he doesn't want to go so far away from British Columbia where, for mostly family reasons, he wants to be anchored closer.
Yeah.
So he's got another year on his contract. He's not going to Detroit for 23 games and then going to move somewhere else. It would be, I'm going to go there and it's going to be a year and a half in theory, right? And so it's not as straightforward as Detroit or nowhere, or Detroit and then I'll go to Dallas. Maybe that's not going to be there. But sitting around like he's doing, that sucks. And
it does. Yeah.
It sucks for the team. It sucks for him. And I'm sure both would love to have a resolution, but that's what the no trade protection grants Tyler Myers.
Yeah. And look, Dallas is an option. But as you can appreciate with the salary cap, Dallas's problems with next year being on the contract, right? They've got Jason Robertson. They've got other pieces that they've got to extend and figure out in Dallas. They like the player. They can see how he would make them deeper, but you do have to forecast for the years remaining. In this case, as you say, Tyler has one more year. I'm going to throw a weird name at you. Okay. You ready for this?
Sure.
You mentioned the New York Rangers off the top. All right. Braden Schneider, restricted free agent. As expected, he's going to, I mean, that's going to be a hefty contract for the New York Rangers. And whether it's money motivated or not, I know teams are calling Chris Drury on Schneider, and he's at least at this stage willing to listen, but isn't really contemplating.
Drury. You're saying listen.
Yeah, Drury is willing to listen on the trade interest in Braden Schneider. In the category of, okay, teams can call on any player in the league. Is he willing to trade him? Two GMs said yes, he's willing to trade him, but the ask for Braden Schneider indicates that he's not really willing to trade him. Just given where the New York Rangers are, is that a name that surprises you? Because by all accounts, it when I heard it earlier this week, it surprised me. I mean, he's a good player with a great future ahead.
He's restricted free agent at the end of the year. He's going to cost a lot of money.
Yes.
When he was drafted, they said, he could be like a baby Jacob Trouba. And he's not that. He's not as mean and he's not as big and reckless as Trouba is. Like, Trouba scares people. Schneider does not.
Right.
If I were playing against the two of them, I would notice Schneider's a good player. I would notice Trouba's a good player. And I would be one eye on Trouba all the time, for sure. They thought there would be more offense. There doesn't appear to be. But He's been in the third pair most of the time. This year they elevated him with Trouba gone. I do a lot of Ranger games, and I think they thought there was going to be another step, and there just hasn't been. So I think the acquiring team, you would be trading for an interesting player because what is he going to be? I don't think there's a real form to him yet. Like, is he a stay-at-home guy? Is he going to be able to get 30 points? Is he a little bit better Will Borgen?
Right.
I mean, I can't even tell you that. The second part of that is, what are they going to have to pay him as a restricted free agent?
Yeah.
It seems like he would be in that bridge category, which doesn't happen a whole lot. But I don't know. Do you want to go 7 years out and try and guess at it? And I mean, that's where Drury is in a spot. The Rangers are in a tough spot because they're right near the bottom of the league. They do not have a lot of younger prospects that are kind of chomping at it, because when you're a good team, you trade a lot of your future away. And then eventually you need that future, but you've traded it all away in the form of prospects and picks. And so that's where kind of the Rangers are right now.
Yeah, but your analysis on Schneider is excellent, because it helps me, and I'm sure anybody listening or watching, understand why that trade conversation isn't outrageous. If you're Chris Drury, you're in a position where you're trying to get this team back into the mode of being competitive game in and game out. So you basically have to listen to everything. And if your hockey people tell you, and I'm talking about Drury and company, that, well, what if Braden Schneider's upside is what we see it today? Well, then why wouldn't you listen, right? I mean, that makes some sense. So it does feel.
I'm gonna interject here. You said your hockey people. Yeah. One of my favorite Seinfeld episodes of all time is they think George Costanza has died working for the Yankees, and so George Steinbrenner comes to the house to tell George's parents that he's died and he's a hard worker and they're going to miss him. And of course they can't believe it because George is so lazy anyway. But in the middle of this, of them, Steinbrenner telling him their son's dead, George's dad said, "Why the hell did you trade Jay Buhner?" And and the Steinbrenner character goes, "My baseball people told me, Ken Phelps. It's one of my favorite episodes." And so when you just said hockey person, that's exactly what I thought. My hockey people told me, so-and-so, so-and-so. Well, there you go. So anyway, sorry, that was
no, that's perfect. Well, look, I use this term sport fishing, right? And that's what I think Chris Drury is doing with Braden Schneider. And that's what I think that Doug Armstrong is doing with Robert Thomas, right? Sport fishing. So, the name is out there. Let's see what the return is. And if you're having conversations with managers, which we know Army is with GMs, has all year on Robert Thomas, well, you're asking for a boatload in return. Otherwise, why would you trade him? He's third year of an 8-year contract extension, 26-year-old center. So we'll see where that goes. I thought going into the weekend, Ray, that it was more than likely that Robert Thomas would be traded by the St. Louis Blues. And now I'm less convinced. I'm not saying he won't be, but again, I think that Army is absolutely fishing here. I've been told that there are 5 teams, 2 that are serious, Utah among the 2, and then 3 other kind of tire kickers. But you know what that deal would look like. I mean, it would include a first-round pick. It would include an NHL player, probably a decent young player coming back, and then a top prospect. I mean, isn't that normally what deals like that include?
Seems to be, right? And so you look at the teams who's got the most draft capital, right? Because that first-round pick, you don't want it. Or you want to be able, if you're the acquiring team, to say, yeah, I can move that first and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
You've got to have a bunch of young players. So, it's not a selection between your first and second prospect. You can, if I'm the acquiring team, I can put 3 or 4 prospects out there and say, who do you like in that group? As opposed to the one that they really want. And that's how you try to put this deal together. Thomas is a great passer, terrific passer, and I think he should be around a point a guy game. And I can see why Army would fish around. I mean, Dregs, I'll say you, everybody in this game that follows it, starting in October, said that, wow, teams are really looking for centermen. Well, there we are. We're in March, and they're still looking for centermen.
Yeah. No, it's fair. But that's why, we keep such close tabs on what Nashville is doing with Ryan O'Reilly. Nazem Kadri is likely going to be traded here by the Calgary Flames. But you do look around, Vinny Trocheck, and again, no different than the defensive market. When one of those centers gets traded, then the action will kick into high gear this week, right? One of those guys goes, and then the next guy will go, which will probably be Kadri. Probably. I think that's what Conroy is waiting for. Trocheck goes, then, next man up, so to speak, on the trade front.
Well, and they have multiple years left on their deal. And so that, as you mentioned with Dallas, that further complicates everybody. And
it does.
Trying to make that. By the way, Trocheck's a bit of a smart ass, right? Like I like his way. It's just I see a little bit of myself in that. And when they asked him about being traded, so he told his kids, and I'm sure you saw his quote from his 7-year-old. He's like, "Well, I'm not going to go because I got a team and I didn't get traded." And so his son wants to stay on his own hockey team, and he's trying to tell him, "Well, I don't know if that really is the way it works." It was pretty funny. I thought it was good.
I think it was last Thursday on the podcast. We talked again. There's a lot of talk around St. Louis just because of where the Blues are and what Armstrong is trying to do. I heard, by the way, that they're setting up camp in San Francisco for deadline day on Friday. Doug Armstrong in the group. And I mean, in fairness, I think they play Seattle Wednesday, right? And then I think they've got San Jose right after, and they're out that way. So it makes a lot of sense. But you and I know how much Army loves to golf, right? And I'm like, well, there's a day off between Friday, and I think they play in the 8th, so he'll be teeing it up at Pebble on the 7th. But
sure, why not, right?
I haven't mustered up the courage yet to text him to ask what time his tee off is at Pebble. So we'll maybe let the dust settle after the deadline for that. But last Thursday, I think I mentioned on the podcast, Ray, that there wasn't a whole lot of activity around Jordan Binnington. And again, is that surprising? I don't think it should be. I mean, if there wasn't the Olympics and Canada winning the silver medal and Binnington having a good performance throughout the Olympics, nobody would be surprised that there wouldn't be trade interest in Jordan. Nobody. I do get the sense as of this morning, Tuesday, as we're recording, that interest is picking up a little bit. So that maybe speaks to
what does he have on his deal?
I'll have to check here very quickly.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Here's the thing is like, so do you view the 40 games that he's played or the 6 he played at the Olympics behind a really good defense? So like that's really the conversation if you're looking at acquiring Binnington.
So he's year 5 of 6 at a $6 million cap hit at 32 years of age. So I don't know. In a lot of ways, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, I look at Jordan Binnington similarly to the way I looked at Gibson coming out of Anaheim. And I wonder if he gets a fresh start somewhere else, maybe that's what he needs to just give you average to above average, slightly above average goaltending. Given his pedigree, if I were a playoff team, like I think of Carolina as an example, right? Why wouldn't you dip your toe in that pool and see if there's
again? Dregs, here's a little glimpse of my life that as I get to talk to coaches, which I really appreciate their candor but I don't know how many times I've asked either Rod Brindamore or Bruce Cassidy, hey, who are your 2 goalies tonight? Vegas and Carol, and Rod, Bruce is very calm. Like he just kind of stands there and answers the question. Rod is like he's got electrical currents under his feet. He's always moving. He's like, oh, I don't. Tonight we got these two guys, but we're gonna play him tomorrow. And by the time you're finished, I'm exhausted just listening. So if they bring in another goalie, sure, why not? They just signed Bussy to a 3-year deal. They got Freddie Anderson. They lost Tkachuk for the year. It's like
They're
in
collecting
Carolina that they do. They
A couple of coaching questions before we wrap up the Canadian Brewhouse headlines. We'll get to Jim Hiller and the LA Kings in just a moment because obviously he was let go by Ken Holland and the LA Kings. But I want to go back to the weekend and Craig Berube standing in front of the media. It was after the Ottawa loss, right? Saturday night.
Yeah, right.
Where he was pushed on, what the team is doing, what they're not doing. And he talked about, we go over the tape. The game plan is pretty obvious. We feel like the group is well prepared, but we can't give them this. And he points to his heart or this. Like, it certainly made waves in the Toronto market.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm overstating. I don't know, man. When you question the heart and hockey sense, which is how I interpret it, am I wrong? He's questioning the heart. They're not playing with the level of heart required to compete and win games. Is that not a stinging indictment by the coach?
It is, and I think that's what he intended. So here from the player's side, I would have thought after I saw those comments, I'm sitting at home and I'd be like, well, F you, man. Like, and then I'd sit and think and get into the bottom half of my beer and go, he's probably not wrong. Right? Like the first half of the beer is anger. The second half is wisdom. And if you're a coach, I've often thought this. You're back there. Your team is not performing. They don't execute. There's no real fight. And I'm not talking specifically about Toronto. There's 3 or 4 teams right now you can look at like that.
Yeah.
And I think those coaches are like the blow up punchy bags that kids use where you punch them and they just roll over and come back up and then they stand there again and you hit them again. Like after a while, what is a coach going to say? What are you going to say? I've always thought the reason coaches, they have that nervous energy, they walk up and down the bench. I think they're looking for new players, but these are the guys they got. And this is it. And so when you watch the Leafs, it's like I watched Vancouver last night. Leafs were better last night, but on Saturday night they were uninspired. They weren't connected to the game. They're all kind of waiting around to see what's happening. Hey, is somebody going to get moved? Oh, gee, look, we're not going to make the playoffs this year. Blah, 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 blah. It's really easy from my seat to say you have to push that away and just play. But I've been there, and it is like carrying a 30-pound weight around with you. You're slower. You don't react well. You're not really into the game. I call it pretend trying. And I think I've seen a lot of that in the last week. There's a lot of guys that are pretend trying. They throw a hit a second late, and it's not really a hit. It's kind of like, oh, that puts a little mark on the event summary, on the scoring summary. And at this time of year, the pretend trier is someone to watch out for.
DJ Smith, Ray, given the interim title as head coach of the Los Angeles Kings with the release of Jim Hiller. Tough test for DJ and the Los Angeles Kings in his first game in the middle of the bench against Colorado, who also become the first team to 40 wins this year in that 4-2 win over LA. So what are the Kings now as we record 4 points back of the cut line in the West with 22 games left? What's your read on this team? How active does Kenny Holland have to be? I mean, he made the Panarin trade. That's pretty significant splash. Does he need to do more than adding a superstar and firing his coach to motivate this team or get this team into the playoffs?
I think he'd probably like to add, forward. They probably were going to be set, and then Fiala got hurt at the Olympics, so they bring in Panarin and they lose Fiala. They with the Panarin trade, I know they were happy that they didn't give up their first. Like part of this is that they know they're 4 points, 5 points back, and you'd like to make that little last 20 game run if you can, but they've got to look around at Anaheim and Seattle and San Jose, and you got to be careful you don't get caught with your pants down here, and then in the future you've got no prospects and nowhere to go. Kopitar comes off the books this year. Ange is going to retire at the end of his fabulous career. Would they move Drew Doughty? Go the other way?
Interesting.
But because here's the point they all get into, every general manager is, if you can't really compete, what becomes the goal for the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah.
And Drew, I think, has got 1 more year left on his contract. And then you get into that, loyalty versus, protecting the team. And those guys like Drew and Doughty and Kopitar are, they're kingpins in LA.
But you're saying only if they lose. I don't know. I don't even know what their schedule is between now and Friday. They're not doing that if they're in the playoff hunt, are they?
Oh, no. I'm just saying in theory. You're saying do they make a big splash? I don't think you can trade away a bunch of future assets knowing that Kopitar is going to retire and Doughty's 1 or 2 years away from the end.
Right.
How can you can't keep spending and then it's just going to come washing back on your shores at some point. And we see it all the time. The best example, I think, of course, is Detroit, where ownership really pushed Kenny to continue that streak. They traded first round picks and prospects, and 25 straight years they made the playoffs. And they haven't since. It's 9 years now.
We'll wrap up. Is there a surprise team? I'm looking at Buffalo as a team that maybe wouldn't be a surprise. I think Buffalo's after a right shot defenseman. So Justin Faulk, that sort of stuff, right? Maybe bigger picture, if you can get a bigger deal, can you wedge Colton Parayko out of St. Louis? Something along those lines. And they'd like to add a bottom 6-4. If Jarmo is able to do any of that, I feel like that's justifiable in terms of a significant surprise deadline week. Is there a team that you might look at?
Boston. I think they have surprised people. I didn't think they were going to be as competitive as they have. I'm telling you, Marco Sturm has done a really good job. Don Sweeney went out. I got 2 teams for you. Don Sweeney went out and they had a vision of being a more competitive team, right? And physically competitive. And they've done that. I've been really, really quite impressed with Boston. So they could make an addition, and it would catch me a little only by surprise because of where they are this year. The other team is Pittsburgh, and the
mad scientist Kyle Dubas.
Well, guess what? I'm going to pull this up because I don't want to screw this up, Dregs. But the mad scientist, as you just called him, how do I get this thing moved along here? In the next 4 drafts, they have 34 picks. Okay. 20 of those picks are in the first 3 rounds. This year, they added Chinakhov for a couple of seconds. So they've already moved out 2 picks and they still got 34 left. They added Chinakhov. Kindle has been a real surprise for them. They don't really target shopped with Anthony Mantha and Justin Brazo and Parker Wotherspoon, and those guys have all kicked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has enough assets that they could add a player without hurting their future, which is really where they're looking at. They're also, I think the biggest trade acquisition will be in 2 or 3 weeks. They'll get Sidney Crosby back.
Yeah.
Pretty good I'd add. But I'm telling you, I did the game Saturday in Pittsburgh or in New York. They lost in a shootout. They went home and just pounded Vegas 5-0. This team is pretty good. Erik Karlsson's had a rebound here. Schmaltz has given up 16 goals in 9 games.
Yeah.
Like, they got him for a 4th round pick because Vancouver didn't, they were going to lose him on waivers. So they got what they could for him. So, and just think at that time, anybody else could have had Artur Schmaltz. All they had to do was offer up a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of people that have been kicking Kyle Dubas in the shins for his Toronto years. They probably have to step back a little bit and say, you know what? He may not do it the way the old guard would do it, but he's put this team in a really, really good place.
Yeah, in a short order too, to your point.
Very
and not
short,
just not just about being competitive now, but ensuring that they're going to be competitive for years to come. I totally agree with that. All right, Ray, those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. We're going to see how the week unfolds. So I'm hesitant to tee up Ask Ray and Dregs anything for later in the week, only because it's deadline week. And as we've discussed, I think we're going to do our best to record a post-trade deadline episode on Friday. So that'll drop at some point Friday night, just looking back at deadline day and maybe the surprise moves, maybe the teams that whiffed.
Yeah.
What are you smiling at? What's going on? You got something funny going on there?
Well, yeah, no, I'm listening. You're making, I just looked over at my computer and I've got 37 new emails since this show started. And I'm like, so I just looked and I'm like, oh, there's my travel. Just okay, but 37 drinks. Come on,
that's
man.
a lot. Yeah,
that's a lot.
And you're someone who doesn't like looking down and seeing a big number of emails. I don't care. I can have 800 emails in my.
Okay, Dregs. I love my wife to death. She's the best. I pick up her phone and I see 57 text messages and literally 800 emails. That's her personal account, not her work account. I don't even know what she's got there. But she's like, yeah, well, what do I care? I'll get to them. I'm like, when? And she goes, well, most of them are, from if you buy something, you end up on a mailing list or something like that.
Yeah.
I get into double digits. I'm telling you, no good. This will be cleared out. It's 7:44. I'm going to get Reese to school by 8:30. By 9 o'clock, that will be cleared out. I can't take it. Dregs, I'm feeling antsy right now.
Good for you. It's one of the things I do when I'm on an airplane before takeoff is that's what I do. I just look at it. I go, all right, I've got 86 unopened emails, scroll through them. They're all dated, boop, 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 and they're gone. And then, but they do accumulate. I'm not as wild about it as you are. It's been a while since we've had the pleasure of talking about the Tim's Hockey Challenge. I mean, we've referenced it throughout the Olympic break, but without regular season hockey, obviously we've put our level of the contest on hiatus. So let's bring in Zuby. Chris Sabunia is going to join us and bring us up to speed because we're back. And I'm not going to get too confident. No overconfidence here. But I did have like a 3-4 day skid. Let's just call it what it was.
Yeah.
But I think I'm headed back in the right direction, Zuby.
Yeah, you came through when it counted here in the first official day of competition back from the Olympic break. Dregs, you went 2 for 3 to extend your lead up. You have a lead officially of 6 over Ray. So Dregs, you're sitting at 34 out of 93, 800. Oh, I didn't update the points. That's fine. It's the number. Fine. It's the number that's the big important part. Ray, you're at 28 for 93. That can be made up, but it's got it. You lost one already. You had 1 for 3 on Thursday. So you lost one there. So this is up for grabs. I hope people watching too are going to go get in on this, follow along, see what you can do to keep pace with Dregs, who's been the master all year. as we roll along here. And Schauger, I guess we'll mention Schauger anyway. He's at 18, so he's 10 back of Ray. Oh my goodness, that's
Okay,
I think
so
he's
I'm
run
gonna
out of
bring up
runway.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up a term that we used to use in Atlanta when things don't go well, and we used to call the Thrashers play the reverse trap. So remember when you, so a team would play the trap, you'd trap them in the neutral zone. We like to trap them in our zone and tire them out, and then they'd shoot it 66 times. Then eventually we'd get a chance, and we'd score because they'd be exhausted. I think that's what Rashog's doing. He's got the reverse Tim's trap going. He's going to try and drag us back.
Yeah.
And then no, you're right. It's not going to
No,
happen.
I'm going to use another description which you used in the Brewhouse headlines. He's pretend trying. That's what he's been doing all year. Pretend trying in the Tim's Hockey Challenge.
He should absolutely have his wife and stepdaughters, I think, choosing for him at this point in time. I think I would just, if I were him, I would just hand it over.
How old are your kids, Zuby?
6 and 8.
They could do it. They should do it for Rashog. Never mind the adults. He could turn it over to a first and a third grader, and it could not be worse.
You know what? They know that I do it, and they want to do it. So maybe I need to get them on picking.
Yes,
put it
get
on
them on.
Put it
Get
on
them
Mom's
on.
phone and let them pick for the rest of the season here, and see if they can beat Schauger at least.
Yeah.
That would okay. I think Tim's would like to know that.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. Okay.
All right, we'll start today.
Okay, Zuby.
Perfect.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's the Tim's Hockey Challenge. So, you know, we're closing in here, right? I mean, you get through the deadline, and those regular season games, they just tick away in anticipation of the playoffs. So there's still some time for you to catch me. There's some time, Ray. There's some time. Make sure you submit your
I got him in today.
ballot
I'm in today.
Okay.
Third bucket was tough today. Third bucket was tough.
Oh, let me think about this. Who'd you take in the third bucket? Do you remember?
I almost went with Jordan Spence to honor Zuby and the greatest all-time pick of all time.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to think about it.
Did I
It
take
was a hard
did I
one
take
today.
Zach? Did I take Zach Whitecloud maybe? Like there was not a whole lot of guys that I went, oh no, you know who I took? Because he's just been getting clobbered is Darnell Nurse. I'm like, well, maybe he just shoots one in from the blue line today. But I also took Cutter Gauthier and Cole Caulfield today.
So I took Caulfield as well. I went with Leo Carlson in the 2
Good
spot.
pick. See, we're thinking the same though. We took a duck.
Yes. Yeah.
We took, you know.
And I don't know why. I think it's because he scored recently and it was a nice goal. And I like the way he plays. He's not a goal scorer per se. Jake Evans, another Habs player. So
okay,
I was
so here's my theory. Here's my
Yeah.
third bucket theory is
Yeah.
you said, Jake scored a nice goal. That would take him out of the mix for me. Because the frequency thing becomes
I get it. I might have to steal that. That's strategy.
Yeah.
I don't employ
well, it's not
strategy
working. Keep your own strategy. You're doing great.
All right, buddy. You are on the road. You're doing Deadline Friday at ESPN, right?
Correct. We're gonna run through the trades around noon, I believe. I've got some studio work I'm gonna do on Thursday, so I leave tomorrow, and then I've got Washington at Boston on Saturday afternoon in Boston. So that'll be the first day after the deadline, and it's always interesting though. There's kind of new guys around, and they don't know which door to go in, and whenever they're with a new team, so it's always kind of an exciting, unsettled day on that first day after the deadline.
Boston, one of the teams that has nibbled on Robbie Thomas. Nibbled. I don't think they have the assets, though. I don't think they have
Maybe
the
not.
assets.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Are you guys? So the deadline's Friday. You guys start on the air Thursday afternoon. Is that right? Or
you say that, but it's not far from correct because we have a Leafs regional game on Thursday, which will be all about trade deadline day. So that's very true.
Is Duffy hosting?
I think so. Yeah. But there's some,
Oh,
Gord Miller's got some issues. I think there's some travel. Gord always says that this is my last deadline. This is my last free agent frenzy. He's been saying that in the
he-
20 years that I've been at
yes,
TSN.
yes. That's a long-winded. Oh, stop it.
All right, buddy. Well, safe travels. And we will reconnect on Friday night for a post-trade deadline special edition of Ray and Dregs brought to you by Tim Hortons. How's that?
Well, I hope you have a good, busy week, Dregs. Hope things are exciting. And to everyone, I hope your team makes the deal you want, because they probably won't. Have a good one.
They won't.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, and thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. Thank you, and thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.